I'm really excited this summer because some of the amazing things that go on the weekends were when I was working for a company where I had to be in every weekends because that's the demand. The demands were always the weekends, so I needed more help. So I feel really blessed this summer. I'm going to San Diego with Chris. We're going June 22nd through the 26th. No, the 26th we come home at 1:30 in the morning. And then the 26th, that afternoon at 5:30 at night, Bella, Cece, and I and my dad are flying back to North Carolina for 6 weeks. 6 weeks we're going to be in North Carolina, Cece, right? And we're going to go spend time with our families and friends and everything else. And then we're going to come back August 7th. And then I fly to Scottsdale, Arizona on the 11th for a mini little retreat with my team. And we're going to have a lot of fun.
And that was the last time she gets to make plans for a vacation or gets to make plans to be with her team or friends, because the last place she traveled to before her death was that business trip to Arizona.
What are you doing? This child does not sit still ever. Look at this. Bella, say hi. Bella, say hi. And I really love the fact that careful, Cece, there's a table there.
No, Cece. Go back.
Child. Yeah, day in the life with Cece. And just feel blessed that we can do that. We can travel the world. One day Chris can travel that long with us. But just to be the time freedom with my family, my kids, to enjoy them and not have to worry, you know. I used to not be able to take time off for vacations because all my time off was because my kids were sick. And when the kids are sick, that's priority over vacation. Now I can do both. I can take time off. Well, I don't have to take time off from anything because I do everything from my cell phone.
Shanann Watts was more than a name that would later echo through headlines. Before everything changed, she was a woman defined by resilience, routine, and an almost relentless desire to build a meaningful life. Born and raised in New Jersey, Shanann grew up with a strong sense of family and loyalty, traits that followed her into adulthood. She was outspoken, driven, and deeply emotional, someone who felt life intensely and wore both her strengths and vulnerabilities openly. From a young age, Shanann faced health challenges that shaped her identity. Lupus, chronic pain, and fatigue were constant companions, yet they never fully defined her. Instead, she became known for pushing forward, even on days when simply getting out of bed required immense effort. That determination became part of who she was. Shanann believed in structure, in plans, in the idea that if you worked hard enough and stayed positive, life would eventually reward you. When she moved to Colorado, she envisioned a fresh start. A new environment, a growing family, and a future that felt carefully mapped out. Shanann thrived on connection. She loved sharing moments, documenting milestones, and inviting others into her world. To some, it was inspiring. To others, excessive. But for Shanann, it was proof that her life mattered, that her struggles had purpose, and that her happiness was real. If you're finding value in stories that focus on the human life behind the headlines, take a moment to like this video. It helps keep these stories told with respect and care. At her core, Shanann wanted stability. She wanted love that lasted, a home filled with laughter, and children who felt safe and adored. There was nothing extraordinary about those dreams, yet the intensity with which she chased them made her stand out. And long before the world knew her name, Shanann Watts was simply a woman trying, every single day, to hold her life together and make it beautiful, unaware of how fragile everything truly was. Motherhood was the center of Shanann Watts' world, the role that gave her the deepest sense of purpose. Bella and Celeste were not just her children, they were the anchors of her identity. Every morning routine, every small celebration, every moment of exhaustion was shaped around them. Shanann approached parenting with intensity and pride, determined to give her daughters a life filled with love, structure, and opportunity. She documented their milestones not to perform happiness, but to preserve it, as if freezing time could somehow protect it. To those looking in from the outside, the Watts household appeared warm and ordinary. Family photos showed smiling faces, matching outfits, birthday cakes, and weekend outings. Shanann embraced the role of organizer and planner, the one who kept everything moving. Chris, by contrast, appeared quiet and reserved, content to remain in the background. Their dynamic seemed balanced on the surface, her energy paired with his calm. It looked like a partnership that worked. Shanann believed deeply in the idea of family unity. She spoke often about building memories, about raising kind children, about creating a home that felt safe. Bella was thoughtful and sensitive, while Celeste was vibrant and fearless, and Shanann loved them in different but equally fierce ways. She structured their days carefully, believing consistency was the foundation of security. In her mind, love was something you showed through effort. If stories like this matter to you, consider subscribing to Dark Evidence for true crime that looks beyond the crime itself and honors the lives at the center of it. Marriage, for Shanann, was part of that same vision. She believed in commitment, in teamwork, and in weathering difficulties together. Whatever cracks may have existed beneath the surface, she believed they could be fixed with honesty and work. To her, this was what a real life looked like, busy, imperfect, but full of promise. And in those moments, surrounded by her children, Shanann believed she was exactly where she was meant to be. Shanann Watts was not content with simply surviving. She wanted to build something of her own, something that proved her struggles had meaning. Her work with Thrive became more than a job, it became a symbol of control over a life that often felt unpredictable. Through wellness products and online promotion, she found purpose, community, and a sense of validation. Success, to Shanann, wasn't just financial. It was evidence that she was strong, capable, and moving forward despite everything her body and circumstances placed in her way. Social media became her stage and her shield. On camera, she was confident, upbeat, and motivated. She shared morning routines, product testimonials, family moments, and personal reflections. To supporters, she was inspiring. To critics, she was too much. But behind the screen was a woman who relied on structure and affirmation to keep herself steady. The likes, comments, and messages were reassurance that she was doing something right. Beneath that carefully curated image, pressure quietly grew. Financial stress lingered, expectations mounted, and the gap between appearance and reality widened. Shanann felt responsible for holding everything together: her business, her marriage, her family. She carried that weight visibly, even as she smiled through it. There were moments when doubt slipped through, moments when exhaustion dulled her optimism, but she rarely let them linger publicly. How often do we mistake online confidence for real stability? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, because conversations like this matter. As time passed, subtle changes crept into her life. The reassurance she once felt began to fade. Communication at home felt strained, affection felt distant, and the future she had planned so carefully seemed suddenly uncertain. Still, Shanann pressed forward, believing effort could fix anything. She trusted that love, like success, simply required commitment and persistence. What she didn't realize was that the ground beneath her was already shifting, quietly and without warning. In the weeks before everything changed, Shanann Watts felt a growing sense of unease she couldn't explain away. The structure she relied on began to fracture, and the certainty she once had about her life started slipping through her fingers. Conversations felt colder. Messages were shorter. Silence began to replace reassurance, and the emotional distance inside her marriage was no longer something she could ignore. Pregnant with her third child, a baby boy she planned to name Nico, Shanann saw new life as a chance to heal what felt broken. This pregnancy symbolized hope. She believed it could bring her family closer, restore warmth, and remind them why they had chosen this life together. Even as fear crept in, she clung tightly to the idea that love could still be repaired if she tried hard enough. Behind closed doors, Shanann confided in friends. Her messages revealed vulnerability, confusion, and an overwhelming fear of losing the future she had worked so hard to build. She questioned herself in quiet moments, wondering if she had asked for too much, loved too openly, or trusted too deeply. Still, she refused to give up. Shanann believed problems were meant to be faced, not avoided. If you believe stories like this deserve to be remembered with honesty and care, consider sharing this video so her story continues to be told. Time moved differently during those days. Every ordinary moment carried a strange weight, as if something unspoken lingered just beneath the surface. Shanann held on to routine as a lifeline, believing clarity was only one honest conversation away. What she couldn't see was that while she searched for answers, the life she trusted was quietly unraveling, moving steadily toward a moment she never had the chance to escape. In the final days before everything changed, Shanann Watts was still holding on to belief. Belief in communication. Belief in family. Belief that honesty could mend what felt fractured. She continued making plans, thinking about the future, imagining life with 3 children and the stability she had always worked toward. Even in uncertainty, she chose hope, because giving up was never part of who she was. Shanann spoke about the days ahead as if they were still within reach. She thought about returning home, about conversations that needed to happen, about restoring what once felt secure. Nico's arrival remained a bright point in her thoughts, a reminder that new beginnings were still possible. To Shanann, the future had not disappeared, it had simply become fragile. She moved through those moments like anyone else would, unaware of how close the edge truly was. There were no signs, no alarms loud enough to warn her. Just routine, trust, and the quiet belief that love, once built, could not simply vanish overnight. She had no way of knowing that the life she was fighting to save was already slipping beyond her reach. Before we go, take a moment to like, comment, and share this story if you believe real lives deserve to be remembered with dignity and truth. Shanann Watts is often spoken of in the context of what was done to her, but before that, she was a woman who loved fiercely, hoped endlessly, and believed deeply in the power of family. Her story, Before Everything Changed, is a reminder that tragedy often arrives without warning, hidden behind ordinary days and familiar faces. So the question remains, how many lives around us are quietly unraveling behind closed doors, while the rest of the world sees only smiles?